And now here, for the guitar solo, I'm first going to play it in roll speed and then I'll break it down. But first, here's the guitar solo played in roll speed. Now for the guitar solo, I've broken it down into 5 parts. In part 1, we begin by taking your ring finger and placing it here on the 2nd fret of your low E string. Now what we're going to do to begin in part 1 is we're going to pick our low E string 2nd fret one time, and after we've picked it, you're going to slide your ring finger up to the 5th fret of your low E. So that will sound like this. Once you've gotten to the 5th fret of your low E, what we're going to do next is you're going to place your pointer finger here on the 3rd fret of your A string, pick that note one time. And then following that, you're going to place your ring finger on the 5th fret of your A. You're going to pick it and then slide up to the 7th fret of your A string. That will sound like this. So far here in part 1, we have this played slow. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place your ring finger onto the 5th fret of your D string. And what's going to happen is this. I'm going to pick that note one time, which is the 5th fret of the D. And after I've picked it, my picking hand is out of the picture for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to press down firmly with my ring finger. I'm going to slide up to the 7th fret, then slide back down to the 5th fret, and then slide back up to the 7th fret, and then play a vibrato. So that's going to sound like this played slow. So far we have this played slow in part 1. We have this so far. Looking at what we have from this angle here will look like this played slowly. Then what we're going to do after we have done that last thing that I talked about where we slid 4 times, then played the vibrato there on that D string. What you're going to do after that is you're going to place your pointer finger here on the 5th fret of your G. You're going to pick it once. Then you're going to place your pinky on the 7th fret of your D string. You're going to pick it and play a vibrato. So far here in part 1 we have this played slow. Then after that, you're going to place your ring finger onto the 7th fret of your A string. What's going to happen is this. I'm going to pick the A string one time. After I've picked it, I'm going to slide my ring finger down 2 frets. And once I make it to the 5th fret, I'm going to place my pointer finger on the 3rd fret. And then I'm going to pull my ring finger off. So to do that slowly will sound like this. And looking at that from this angle right here, it's going to look and sound like this played slow. So I only picked it one time. Like I said, I picked the 7th fret. Something you can do that may help you is you can go ahead and put your pointer finger 2 frets behind your ring finger. And then you pick the 7th fret of your A where your ring finger is. You slide down 2 frets. Your pointer finger stays the same distance. It stays 2 frets behind your ring finger. Then you just pull off. So that's what's happening there. One more time, it played slowly. It will sound like this. And by doing that, that ends the first part of the solo. Part 1 played all together in slow will sound and look like this. So that's part 1 played slow. Part 1 played in roll speed. So that's part 1 played in roll speed. Moving into part 2, it begins the same way that part 1 did, in the fact that we're going to begin by placing our ring finger on the 2nd fret of our low E. We'll pick it and slide up to the 5th fret. Then you'll place your pointer finger on the 3rd fret of your A, pick it one time. Then place your ring finger on the 5th fret of your A, pick it, and then slide up to the 7th fret. So far in part 2 we had this played slow. And then following that, you're going to place your pointer finger onto the 5th fret of your D. You're going to pick it and then hammer on quickly to the 7th fret of your D string. It will sound like this. That hammer on, looking at that hammer on from this angle here, looks like this. So far here in part 2, we have this played slow. Then what you're going to do is you're going to do that hammer on one more time. So we have this in part 2 played slowly. And then following that, what you're going to do is you're going to place your ring finger onto the 7th fret of your G. You're going to pick it, so it's what we're going to do here is we're going to pick it and then bend it up quickly a full step. It's going to be a quick full step bend. So it's going to help you to place your middle finger here on the 6th fret of your G, and I'll also place my pointer finger on the 5th fret of my G as well. I use those two fingers to help me push my ring finger up the neck. It will sound like this. And then after I've done that, I'm then going to pick the 7th fret of the G in its original spot. Then pick your ring finger up and play the 5th fret of your G. And then place your pinky onto the 7th fret of your D string. Play it once. And then place your ring finger on the 7th fret of your A and play it once. So far here in part 2, we have this played slow. And then after we've done that, to end the second part, you're going to take your ring finger and place it here on the 8th fret of your B string. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the B string one time, then I'm going to slide up to the 10th fret. Once I get to the 10th fret, I will then play a vibrato there. So that's going to sound like this. And that ends part 2. Part 2 played all together in slow. Part 2 played slow from this angle right here will look like this. So that's part 2 played slow from that angle there. And now here's part 2 played in roll speed. Parts 1 and 2 of the solo played together in roll speed.